Hey, welcome back to the channel today. As you know, this is where we are building a Minimax 1100r with a modification for a half VW 45 horsepower Scott Castler built engine. And you can see my area is looking a little different. That's because I actually put the elevator is actually just partially on, but it's now on the plane, so excellent. The trim tab is here ready to go. So, and I was working on just a few things here. We're ready to figure out how we're going to mount the radio, and I think we decided just flush mounted screws straight through the side there. But mostly I'm ready to get this urethaned so we can get this covered. And also I had a couple of other things. I got my fuel tanks today. They came nicely packed, where it seems like they were handled with care, which is great. So I thought, first off, let's just pop one in and just see how it looks, and then I'll end up putting some, once I get this urethaned and everything, I'll end up kind of putting some adhesive backed foam on the bottom, so it's not sitting right on the plywood, and that will just help cushion a little bit. Then it gets kind of pushed down from the top with a couple of braces. And it's got like a brace that goes in the front and the back to keep it from going front to back, obviously. And so anyway, I was just gonna pop one out and try it in, and just need to take a measurement on this, because I'm gonna use those gas gauges that you see on. They're kind of like on lawnmowers and some other heavier equipment, where it's got the needle in the top with a little window. That's what I'm going to use for my fuel gauges, because you can see them real easily from the cockpit, so that's not a problem. And yeah, oh, I got my oil separator. This is what I'm using for a oil separator, and this will end up down here somewhere behind the engine. I'll have to get it located someplace where I can easily access it. I don't know if it'll go down low, maybe up here, but I got to be able to get that off completely. So once I get the engine back on here, I'll figure out how I'm going to mount this. This particular one is actually kind of cool. I'm just going to use it in the breather configuration, so it'll just have an inlet and block off the outlet, and then the bottom, this part screws off to this part, bottom part, it just screws off to empty the oil. And then also another interesting feature on this one is it has a dipstick, so you can check the oil quantity just by pulling that out. So is it overkill? Yeah, probably. But I saw it and I liked it, and so that's what I'm gonna do there. I put the scales on the plane when I had the engine up here, and now that the tail's on and the engine was up and everything, that doesn't weigh much, but I weighed that, and with the windscreen up here and everything, with the engine, my complete fuselage assembly, it came out to 210 pounds. And if you remember correctly, my wings and ailerons, wing panels and ailerons are about 30 6 pounds a piece, so we were going to add 72 pounds to that, so that puts us at 282 pounds. 282 pounds, and that 282 is obviously before we cover and paint the wings. So now that we know those weights, we'll be able to see actually what did the covering and my particular paint choices actually add to the weight of the wing airframe. So super happy with that. Actually, I wasn't completely sure where I was going to end up. I was, as you know, if you've been following a long time, I was hoping to end up around 300 pounds, and was going to be happy if I stayed between 3 and 320. So I only weigh 170, so even at 320, that puts me at with fuel and everything, I'm going to be quite a bit under gross weight, so which is the goal. So all right, let's see. Yeah, let me stop just chatting here and actually get something going. All right, so I guess my my project has actually been defined for me today. I had all these things I was thinking I wanted to do. Super glad I got the tanks today, so I could actually find this out before I urethaned everything and started covering something, and then get these and find out that there has to be a change. So I took this down. I took this down a ways, and it's I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to get far enough just by removing some of this material. I'm not gonna be able to get far enough to actually get this past the front edge of the spar here. So what I'm thinking is I'm actually going to have to just remove this piece right here. If I cut here and I cut over here, then what'll happen is once I get the tank in, after I get urethaned, then I have to put the tank in, and then I'm going to have to bring a piece of plywood across here again to actually put this piece back in. I don't see any way that I'm going to be able to achieve what I need to achieve just by continuing to remove material. Because even if I get 1/4 inch, even if I took some material off of here completely, I'm still nowhere near being able to achieve this inch up here that I need to go, and the slope is coming up, and well, you know what I mean. So, no sense in thinking about it too long. The best thing to do is just get out the saw and cut that piece out, and it'll just go back in after we get urethaned. Then we'll get the tank in, and it'll be in permanently from that point on, as we cover and then make the clear piece that goes over top and all that later. But yeah, no big deal. It's just it's the beauty of working with wood. You get to you can always cut and put back together as you need to. So I'm going to get the saw, I'm going to cut that out, and we'll go from there. All right, so with the piece removed, you can see that it actually fits nicely in there, and I was really interested in seeing where it was going to end up back here on you know, where's this gonna come out? And it's much further back than I anticipated. Even though I built my platform to the plan, and you can only come forward, you know, so far before you start getting close to the bolts that are mounting this on right here, and there'll be a piece of wood epoxied to the platform down there that keeps this from coming any further forward. And what I believe is going to happen back here is that this will just have to angle forward from the opening. The NTP fitting will just have to angle forward, but it looks like it's going to fit nicely in there, and so it'll come out of the wing somewhere. The hose will connect through here somewhere, so that'll not be a problem. And there's not a lot of room for foam. A piece of 1/8 inch foam will be fine on the bottom. There'll be plenty of clearance all the way around after that goes in. And I did want to just catch a measurement of this right here. Just want to see where we're at here. So from the top rim, I'm 7 inches deep. So we'll just want to make sure that whatever cap I buy ends up being less, just less than 7 inches, so it doesn't hit the bottom there from that top rim. So, all right, I'm going to get the tank out. When I get to this particular area, I'm going to urethane everything except for where I know I'm going to have to epoxy that back in. And it won't be any big deal. I'll just make some more plywood pieces here for the bottom, and it'll just go right back in there, and we'll be able to put the gusset across the bottom. And there's more than enough room to achieve that back here, so no worries. All right, let's keep going. You saw what we had going on a minute ago with the tank, and Zach stopped by, which was actually really helpful because we put the engine back on, and we got everything lined up to the starting point. And so now I have to I'm ready to drill this first hole through. And while we were here talking, he actually said something quite brilliant that I wasn't thinking about. He said, you know, he said the purpose of the cover is to be able to get the tank out if you need to. And if I just epoxy this back in where it was, not only can I not get the tank in, I'm not going to get the tank out. So what I actually have to do is I've got to move this back to here, to this location, and then I'll have to come in and we marked it right there, so I'll end up moving this back a little bit, and I'll let you know how far that is in case you're preparing something for this 6.8 gallon tank. I will tell you that the dimensions of this opening on the plan aren't going to work for you. They're obviously based on the poly tanks that I had before, but from this location you have to go back basically 1.5 inches, and by doing that, then you have the room that you need to actually take the cover off and remove the tank. So thank you, Zach, for stopping by and adding a bit of clarity to where I was headed there, because I was just going to lock myself in and have to cut that out again maybe sometime in the future. Hopefully not, but you never know. So that being said, I'm going to just go ahead, since we've got this set. I went and picked up a 12-inch drill bit, 3/8, and what we did is we got the engine all centered up, and once I get then we were figuring out the offset. It's a quarter inch offset, so, and anyway, the left side is a 1/4 inch closer to the left side of the back plate is a 1/4 inch closer to the firewall than the right side. So I'm going to go ahead and drill some holes here, and that's really good because then I can actually cut the holes in the side down here that are going to allow me to access that nut on the inside and fit a ratchet in there. And then I did find some plastic plugs that will plug those, that will just snap into those holes after I get, you know, everything in place and tightened and it's all painted and all that. I'll just snap in there and keep those holes covered. So yeah, so I'm going to do that before I jump back over here, because obviously I've got some more work to do here, and there's no reason to wait to put this on. I just need to go ahead and get this in place and get it epoxied in. Get it epoxied in back here, and then we'll have to come back and continue to route this area right here, and we'll have to add some material over here so that we can then route. We'll just add a nice rectangular piece right there, and then we'll route it out, and we'll have to do that to both wings. So yeah, all right, so I'll do this first, then we'll jump back over here and we'll do that. Okay. All right, so I've got three of the bolts through. This one I could not do. The cylinder is just too far forward to reach it, so I just had to put a shorter bit in there and mark it. I'll have to drill that one off of the plane, but the other three were no problem, so I just used a 12-inch bit and just protected the cylinders with a towel while I did that, and it worked out great. So now when I pick it back up off of here, Parker is going to be stopping by today, so when Parker gets here we'll be able to pick the engine up off of here again, and then I can actually drill that fourth hole and get that in place. So meanwhile, I'm gonna mix up some epoxy and some Cavasil, and I've got some spots to fill, like here, and then I can go around with the epoxy and just make sure I don't have any gaps. And just generally looking, you know, I don't see any issues. So but there may be some, like I might like to have a little extra right around this corner here, and a little bit kind of right in here. I can see a little gap. It's not a lot. They're just like small little gaps, but a little epoxy will find its way down in there. So then I can let that dry, and once that epoxy's set up, then I can go ahead and start sealing the wing, and that'll give me time to work on this tank move here, where we are actually going to move back 1.5 inches. So okay, so I'm going to mix up some epoxy and get going on that. Alright, so like I said, Parker was going to stop by. Here he is. And what I'm going to have him help me do while he's here. I was working on, I did get this marked. This is the only one, the only of the three I can't get to. I got that marked so I can drill that one that comes off. You just saw that I went around the whole wing and looked for any place that the epoxy needed to be. There were some gaps maybe that needed to be filled, and so that's all taken care of now. And so now I'm going to have him help me get the location of the radio and get it marked, so I can get that marked out, and then I'll be able to go out, put that outside and paint it for the radio tray, and then I can get it mounted in place. Okay, we're gonna jump on that real quick. And what I want you to make sure is you have good visibility to the screen when you're sitting back in the seat, and so we don't want it to drop up behind here.
You don't want it up there, right?
No, because you can't see it, right? And if you tilt it a little bit. I can do this because it's backlit.
Yeah.
So.
For my height, I mean, you and I are the same height, right?
Pretty close.
You want it somewhere like that.
If I hold
do you want it up closer, or do you want it farther down?
That's what I want to figure out. So you just set it where you think it might be a good spot. And I'll hold it.
Out. That's right normal. You're not going to go up any higher than this.
No, leaning forward, you mean? No.
I mean, I like it closer, personally.
So if I'm holding it here,
yeah,
is it comfortable for you to reach and operate the buttons?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I want to make sure it's comfortable to operate the buttons.
Yeah, no, that's not too bad. I mean, if you're worried about that, then maybe back.
You're doing it with your thumb, right?
Yeah.
And the good news is there's only one button on here, that last frequency button.
Yeah.
So that's why part of the reason we have the tilt, because it's pretty easy to.
Got it. Yeah, then you'd probably want it down a little further. That's a lot more comfortable. So you're not like putting your elbow back in here.
Yeah.
You want, like, if you're going from here, that's just here. If you need to hit that, you can actually reach with your fingers. It's all in place. That actually looks like a pretty good spot.
What do you think? Alright, so let me catch you up where Parker and I are. We've got the holes in here for our radio mount. And I still have to make that clip on the bottom that's going to catch on to the bottom of the radio here on that. We had the engine up here. We got all the holes drilled for the location for where those go with our 1/4 inch offset to the left side. And now we're figuring out these holes that go in here. So we're going to use an 1 5/8" hole, and we're going to go just underneath where this 1 inch of material ends. So we'll get those holes drilled. In order to do that, you can't get the drill and the hole saw in there, so we're going to have to use a right angle for that. But we've done that before, so that's what we'll do. We'll get these holes drilled, and then we'll be able to take a look at how everything's kind of fitting together. All right. Okay, so that's going to be it for today. And You saw we went around the whole wing, and we got made sure everybody had plenty of epoxy. I've got this epoxy in place now. We're in its new location. Then we'll backfill with plywood, and then we'll route this plywood. And we got the holes for the radio mounts, and we got the holes for the engine mount. And also Parker and I had to make a couple of new standoffs for the engine, because when you looked at the plane from the front, they were not equal. The engine had a little tilt to it, so we corrected that. We figured out the distance we needed. It was basically a stack of 3 washers, so we took the old one, set it on 3 washers, and it leveled everything right out. So we had to make a couple of these new ones. So now we've got everything. Everything will be at the correct height. It must be just one of the engine bearers is a little higher than the other one, or the mounts on the engine are a little bit different. But either way, we made some new ones, and everything will be perfect now. And it was much better than stacking washers. Yeah, so this is doing its thing, and we're all good. And hey, we'll catch you later.